Celia Gilbert is the recipient of several awards, including the inaugural Jean Kenyon Chaplet Prize from Alice James Books. Celia Gilbert has also received the Discovery Award, an Emily Dickinson Award, and the Consuelo Ford Award from the Poetry Society of America. Her list of laurels also includes a Pushcart Prize. Gilbert is an accomplished painter, printmaker, poet, and short story writer, with work published rather widely in journals and magazines, including Poetry, The New Yorker, Plowshares, and Southwest Review. Additionally, her work can be found in many anthologies. In chronological order, Celia's books are Queen of Darkness, which was published in 1977 by Viking Press, Bonfire, Alice James Books in 1983, Ark of Sorts, also Alice James Books in 1998, and Something to Exchange, which was a publication of Blaze Box Books in 2009. Also in 2009, a collaborative project, which is her translated works in Polish. For the gallery showing her art, Gilbert has prepared an artist statement, which I think also pertains to her poetry. For in the statement, she states, "My art is concerned with the possibility of transformation. In portraits, nature, and abstracts, I look for the transcendent, the place where the real merges with the ideal." Indeed, her poetry does transform, and in her remarkable voice and vision can be found many precious stones where one can find a commingling of the real and the ideal. Truly encountering Celia Gilbert's work, whether it is her stunning paintings, arresting poems, or introspective short stories, is entering an atmosphere where everything is presented before you as a gentle gesture toward human connection. You can see some of Celia's work in the back cover of Ruth's book, I Went Looking for You, which is in the form of the author's photo, Celia's portrait of Ruth. For me, and perhaps for everyone here in this room, Gilbert's work, time and time again, is an outward expression of welcome, an invitation to receive something to exchange.
I want to say one word about Celia because Celia has been one of my closest friends for 45 years. And she's one of the richest, deepest, kindest people I know. And she means the world to me. And after you hear her poetry, you'll understand what I mean. And I've always told her poetry is a combination of just a wild and colorful and compassionate sense with a little bit of Zen thrown in. So it means a great deal to me to be reading with one of my dearest friends, and I'm looking forward to hearing Ethel, who I don't know, but since she lives in Philadelphia, she's okay by me. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? After an introduction by Ruth, I'm such a hard act to follow that I think I might just sit down because she said everything. But we have been besties before the word bestie was invented when we met each other at at BU in a poetry class. Since you're probably feeling like you'd rather have something to eat than listen to another reading, I'm going to read you Food for Thought. It was during our banana cake session when Dr. Rollins and I had a chance to explore phallocentrism that I thanked my lucky stars that at last found the food counselor of my dreams. Feminist, of course, into low-fat maintenance theory, and able to deconstruct what Craig She helped me to see that my aversion to fried chicken was thoroughly sensible, based as it was on the deformations of what should have been a beautiful morphology, and although the chicken isn't one of your more aesthetic-looking creatures, its homely Diane Arbus appearance was at least making a coherent statement. But cut up in eighths, the whole thing was disgusting and phony as well. On chocolate and its empire over the public, her analogy to our fixation on breast was unbelievably apt. How it played into our most unspoken racist fears. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. The way it subtly and not so subtly gets our endorphins activated at the mythic level. Dark is sexual and evil and enjoyable. I can see it would be a long time before we worked that one out, but her suggestions that I start modifying patterns with mocha was helpful. And then the work we did on pork chops. God, what a struggle that was. For months, I just couldn't accept her insights that it wasn't really about the meat for me. It was really about gnawing the bones, and my early memories connected with the freedom given our dog Penny. Her being able to pee on the bushes, defecate on the grass, and gnaw on the bones. Such a clear-cut rejection of my family's basic, uptight, white, middle-class values. And despite it all, she was loved, and I wasn't. I guess the resistance I put up on that one only showed how deeply she had struck home. Pot roast was easier. The fact that my mother always burned it showed her resistance to my father's desires. I related to that one right away. All right, just the last laugh. I just want to say that long before the term bestie was invented, Ruth and I were and have been and always will be besties. We met at BU. Portrait of my mother on her wedding day. A young woman, lilies gathered to her breast, the moment of the wave before it crests, bride incandescent, even in the sepia image, dazzling me like a wedding guest. 50 years later, I uncover in the movement of her swept-back veil the life that was to come, seeing revealed the cunning of those hands that clasp the flowers, the will to shape a world of her devising. And once again, I feel how evil seems to fall away before the power of her candid gaze, while everything in us that answers to good crowds round her lap, hearing itself spoken for. Gestures. Silhouettes. A crowd where each signals. Threads of periwinkle blue. Chinese forget-me-nots miniature bouquet. Near a russet wood lily. Petals bent back, obedient to an unseen wind. Forget-me-not. Vergesst mich nicht, when you are gone to den fremden Staaten, foreign cities. These wild flowers along the tracks, the vetch, the mallow, roadside outliers. Beggars line the road for the Queen's Jubilee. Remember us. Remember what springs uncultivated, unheeded, open to receive from the balcony your benediction, carmines and yellows, the opening primrose on its wand. The police wanted them out of sight. In my freckled picture, the flowers signal this way and that, supported by their collective weight, but starting to droop, making a shepherd's crook, lines of mauve curled in on themselves, cursive as old-fashioned script, the tendrils determined to toe-hold the air, right meadow in the bedroom, to wait to a sigh, an exhalation. All they can do, reach nameless, but oh, someone has named them, though numberless we are, cannot address them, and must feel the pain of ignorance. Let them be, says the Queen. even as we rejoice to see what we cannot say, that yellow umbrella, these slowly toppling spires, or these exploding tightly closed rockets ascending into five-petaled faces, reflecting the spectators, rose and violet hues, and lavender's velvety watchtowers. Revelations. Autumn stripped my barberry hedge to warp and woof weft of bare sticks, where a nest of leaves, strings, Scotch tape, revealed I once had neighbors. Twigs and grasses, thin as pencil strokes, angled round, and at the bottom a hollow vibrated in my cupped hands with echoes of beating hearts. How short a time they lay in this green harbor. And why should I remember now the narrow cribs seen in Pompeii, those stone slabs recessed in dark alcoves? Prostitutes and clients made quick trade, impatience queued in one door, out the other, on to a street of no name. The Romans said, man is to man a wolf, and called the brothels lupanars, wolf dens. Aphrodite makes landfall. Uranus, father of the gods, was castrated by his son Cronus, who threw his genitals into the ocean, which churned and foamed about them, and from the sea, foam, Akros, Aphrodite arose. Hesiod, a lovely explanation. Out of the depths where shadowy fish release eggs and milk covers new life in effortless commingling, she rises at low tide, making her way over sea wrack, moon snails, glitter of broken glass, scattered rounds of rubbers. She moves, she comes on, slowly wringing water from her cascading hair. Wavelets curl around her feet, water sluicing from her thighs. Startled, the sandpipers race before her, their tiny heads printing illegible warnings on shifting sands as the gaping, hopeful crowds begin to gather. A vision. Standing in the shower, water beaded my breast, the milk let down. I could see the blue tree and the red tree forking through my body. I could feel each point connecting to another point. I reached everywhere at once. The Virgin hovered, 2 fingers pressed a shining white arc from her nipple, another kind of halo. To think that the body can do for a little while, and then the full globe puckers like the rose hip, waiting out the winter sleet, lovely in its own way. The Messers. Wally, am I on time?
You're fine.
Huh?
You're fine.
Okay. I always bring him to say I'm fine. It's very reassuring. I'm not sure if people are asleep or dozing out or thinking about something more interesting. The Messers. Scholar of spine and scapula, you read me. Muscles impacted with envy, contracted in cowardice, the gross fact of myself, brute and angel, under the skin, like the others who have rested on your table, willing the mind to let go, the endless rumor of nothing, lulled by your new age tapes, white noise of bird call and waterfall. Your hand holds mine, and fingers pluck my fingers, one by one, a harp of sinews. How gallows gay those old engravings, skeletons that gesture with a grin, a rictus just for us who won't share the joke. Wanting tenderness, the dry bones crave flesh. The flesh turns to a remembered caress, turns to a comforting myth that something could reach our pain, to cradle then, draw out the anger self-murderous. Tell me the secrets I confess under your scented oils, priestess of respect, in this soft-lit neither world. Your touch, without fear, makes me safe from myself. The sheet you hold up when I nakedly turn, is it to shield yourself or me? To be known, but not judged, isn't that our desire? The death of St. Francis. The monks in Giotto's fresco discover St. Francis dead. One raises his hand to heaven, one leans forward in tears, another motions the others on as they come running. I understand this moment, the real passage from breath to nothing. It stuns the friars, as it did me when I saw you carried out, knees strapped to chest. Goodbye, too late. How sweet the faces of the monks. They have lost their shepherd, and later painters will be too worldly to catch the simplicity of their loss. The gaze that reveals they had heard a spring all their lives, but only now come upon a blossom. Tree. This is the second to last poem. The seed, the shoot, the being halfway between the world of earth it came from, the world of sky it learns to know, this creature of dark and light that drinks and weeps and counts the years, ring upon ring recording wet and dry, until it falls, or is felled, refashioned, or returned to forest floor. This wood, which has a life of its own, expands, contracts, breathes, and carpenters give it a thwack, as horse breeders do, or lovers the ass of those they love a whack, to set in motion on the air vibrations, to say that what flesh is there does live and feel, companion, muse, creations that we make of the solid. Wood that has, after all, a heart, that first, like any fool's, is green, then left to ripen and to dry, can make a ship, a temple roof, a violin, if given time enough, whittled to a leg a man could stand on if his own were gone, or be a puppet, like a man and all but soul and blood, and like Pinocchio, bad wood of pine, can only act to hurt and run and hide. The halfway houses of dryads and women seeking refuge from a world of rape like Daphne. Recall Joan, who died fettered to the stake, and witches numberless, who won with forest fires made a thing of ash. Cradle and coffin, the answer to the riddle. What thing will be a beginning and ending, both? This last poem has two titles, Family and Definitions. Quotes. An inmate at a correctional institution is calling. If you will accept to pay the charges, press 3 now. Inmate. one confined or kept to an institution such as an asylum, prison, or poorhouse. Your picture that day in the papers, eyes staring like a suicide at the roof's edge. My horror. Instructed to ride as a decoy in a van, you didn't know the men inside had shot 2 men in a bank robbery. You thought you were helping blacks in their struggle for justice. You would never see them or know them, but the police caught you. The men jumped out firing, killing. You ran for your life. Mad. To be mad. Disordered in intellect, crazy, insane. Proceeding from or characterized by delusion or want of reason, foolish, vain, especially rashly or ruinously foolish. In the city, your toddler waited with his babysitter for your return. Justice, merited reward or punishment, that which is due to one's conduct or motives, the principle of rectitude and just dealing of men with each other. 20 years before you can be paroled, my aunt and uncle will not live to see you free. Parole, word of promise, word of honor, word of faith, a conditional, unrevocable release upon his own recognizance or subject to supervision provided by statute of a prisoner with indeterminate or unexpired sentence. Pardon, an official warrant of remission of penalty. 22 years passed in prison, comforting women dying of AIDS, counseling women, teaching women to read, supporting women like yourself suffering because of their actions and their children left behind. Now, the present time or moment. Moment. A minute portion of time. Over time, my anger at your madness fades. We talk on the phone. I visit in the beige waiting room behind the glittering hoops of wire. The death of parents draws us closer. We make an island in this sad space where lovers sit clasping hands, staring silently. Little children climb on mothers, food vending machines, and starch guards. A photo machine lets inmates take pictures of their family. Family. A group comprising immediate kindred, especially the group formed of parents and children, constituting the fundamental social unit in civilized societies. Repentance, sorrow for what one has done or omitted to do. Redemption, deliverance from the bondage and consequences of sin.